Welcome to this video that's focused on DigComp Edu Strand 3.4 Self-Regulated Learning. This video will look at emerging technologies to support self-regulated learning. In particular, we will look at emerging technologies that support self-regulated learning and critique these tools. There is a risk that emerging technologies can reduce student agency and self-regulated learning. For example, adaptive and personalised learning environments often overtake student decision-making. They decide what content students learn and how they learn. To facilitate appropriate and ethical use of technology and the data and digital rights of students, we want to maintain student agency and self-regulated learning within the learning process. We do not want technology making decisions for our students or for the teachers. There's several emerging tools that have the possibility to enhance self-regulated learning for our students, but it's important to use them in an ethical way. Learning analytics involves the collection and analysis of learner data. These tools provide visual representations and an overview of student performance and progress. This information can be provided to teachers and, in some cases, students. Research has shown that there is a potential risk that learning analytics can be used unethically. For example, if a parent has shared data about their child not engaging, they might assume that the child is lazy rather than having a conversation with the child about the struggles they're having and why. Or if a student is not performing well and they're displayed with the learning analytics, they may lose confidence unless they're supported on reflecting why and identifying strategies to support their motivation and encourage them to learn from their mistakes. It's important that teachers and students and parents are aware that learning analytics is only an indicator of student performance, and that broader reflection and the incorporation of self-regulated learning teaching and learning strategies in the overall learning process is important. This supports students to identify areas where they're experiencing difficulties. It's interesting to note that despite through the use of technology, there's a lot of digital data being gathered about our students. Learning analytics on digital education platforms are usually limited. Of those that are available, most are only available to the teacher. For example, Google Classroom Analytics. Examples of those that are available are Microsoft Teams tools such as Insights. This provides an overview of class data that can be drilled down. In addition, the Microsoft Accelerator tools, such as Reading Progress, allow students to view their performance in tasks and set goals. Quizzes also has learning analytics that enable teachers to view test scores and progress over time. Students can see their performance in tests and areas that they need to improve. If you create H5P resources in applications such as Lumi, there is an option to gather data, and this file can be sent to the teacher for learning analytics. As you can see, the availability of learning analytics depends on the tool you're using and is often specific for that tool. Often as educators, we use a variety of tools to support our learners. So we may use Microsoft Teams for one thing and quizzes to support self-assessment. Gathering this data into one overall picture can be quite difficult, but sometimes is possible through the development of customised tools. There is a possibility for teachers or school leaders to create their own analytics from multiple tools. Once you can export the analytics file, it's important to note what format the data is gathered in and if it can be exported. So for example, the Insights or the Learning Analytics in Microsoft Teams, you would need to know what outputs or what data is outputs into which files and how you can import it into Learning Analytics software. Once you have the data, tools such as Tableau and Microsoft Power BI, while not education specific, they can allow schools to visualize complex data such as engagement patterns, attendance, assessment results and trends. This will allow them to identify at-risk students or performance over time. Also, amending these dashboards to display them in a child-friendly manner can support self-regulated learning. However, this is really in its infancy and needs to be further developed, but it is an emerging technology that we must consider. The next emerging tool we're going to look at is AI and chatbots to enhance self-regulated learning. Artificial intelligence strengthens self-regulated learning by offering individualised learning and immediate guidance. AI-based tools, including ChatGPT, deliver personalised support, feedback and scaffolding that promote learner engagement and boost self-efficacy. These technologies are especially useful for facilitating goal setting, managing time, and encouraging help seeking through feedback and ongoing assessment. For example, a student might upload the learning outcome that they have to achieve, explain what their interests are, and ask AI to help them to create a goal for their learning. They may then ask ChatGPT to help them to break this down into specific tasks and a learning plan over a period of time. Once students draft samples of work, they may upload this and ask the AI model or chatbot to provide feedback. By uploading the rubric, it allows them to give them specific feedback to their context and learning goals. It's important to note that it's AI systems such as adaptive learning systems should not inhibit self-regulated learning by taking over tasks such as goal setting or planning, but support it. It's important that AI is used as a resource and the user or student asks questions to seek clarification or information rather than process being automated. For example, rather than the AI system deciding a goal and task for students, they ask the student what their learning goal is. A list of strategies or tasks are suggested, and the learner amends these based on their own needs. They complete work and upload the rubric and ask AI to provide feedback, selecting particular areas they're not confident on for additional feedback and guidance. Therefore, hybrid regulation takes place. Hybrid regulation is where AI and humans are jointly responsible for self-regulating learning. There are different degrees of hybrid regulation. AI regulation is where AI monitors and adjusts extensively. Humans are aware of the AI regulation, and the dashboard is just raising awareness of the decisions the AI made for the student. However, ideally where you want to be is co-regulation or shared regulation. Shared regulation is where AI monitors and proposes control actions to the learner. So they might notice a student experiencing difficulty and might suggest activities that they need to refresh their learning. The human is responsible for understanding and monitoring and executing control. So they will ultimately decide which tasks they want to complete and why. The function of the dashboard is to show and monitor learning and scaffold learners' control, encouraging them to make decisions about their learning. This concept of hybrid regulation was developed by Molnar in 2022. There are a number of constraints with using artificial intelligence to support self-regulated learning. Research has shown to enable students to effectively use AI to facilitate self-regulated learning, they need a strong foundation knowledge or basic knowledge in the discipline. Without this, constructing questions, engaging with artificial intelligence with dialogue in hybrid regulation will be difficult. Also, evaluating the quality information provided by the chatbot will be difficult. In addition, research shows strong research skills are important to enhance self-regulated learning capacities, as well as Gen AI use. Strong research skills facilitates construction of appropriate questions and critical thinking. Another tool that can be used to support self-regulated learning are immersive learning environments and VR. Again, this is an emerging area. These environments allow students to explore learning in their own way. To date, much of the research or use of immersive learning environments has been exploratory, where students are provided with an application and are free to explore it as they want. There have been mixed findings on the academic performance of the learner, mainly because pedagogical strategies such as self-regulated learning have not been used. By underpinning pinning immersive learning or virtual reality integration with self-regulated learning pedagogies and strategies encourage more tangible use, providing opportunities for students to set meaningful and tangible goals, multimodal pathways, and simulating and experiment with strategies allows VR to support self-regulated learning. For example, by providing goal-oriented scenarios initially before the student uses VR, students must decide what they aim to accomplish before entering a simulation or a virtual reality environment. Also providing a choice of path. This is something that VR environments allow quite well. Students can choose missions, tools or procedures to enable them to achieve that goal. This reinforces planning and strategic thinking. Although after using the VR application, it's important that students reflect on these strategies and paths they chose. Also, virtual reality provides opportunities for students to preview environments. Students can anticipate challenges by seeing the task in advance and allowing them to adapt their planning strategies and self-regulate. Virtual reality is also useful for monitoring. Virtual reality can provide feedback or real-time feedback on actions. So for example, a virtual reality application in chemistry can show if a reaction is done incorrectly, or it can point if they're going the wrong way and redirect them. Also providing opportunities for interactive prompts where VR systems ask reflective questions during the activity. Why did you choose this strategy? And how will it help you to achieve your learning goal? Naturally, attention and engagement levels stay high in virtual reality learning environments. This reduces off-task behaviour and improves the opportunity for monitoring. Also, virtual reality provides self-paced navigation. Students can decide how long to spend on each virtual station or object. Reflection, as I said, is critical post-use of the virtual reality or immersive learning environment. Virtual reality can support this by providing post-simulation dashboards which shows their overall performance, accuracy, time spent and maybe errors. Also, there might be replay features for students to watch their performance on certain aspects. On return, it's important that students reflect and present, write up or record a reflection of if they've achieved their goal, why or why not, and what they learned and what strategies they used. This is important to facilitate self-regulated learning. In general, immersive learning environments can be quite expensive, particularly those science-based ones such as labs or virtual reality. However, there are some more affordable, accessible virtual reality tools. Google Earth VR can support inquiry-based exploration and reflective writing tasks where students can visit different areas of the globe and experience them through virtual reality. CoSpaces Edu, now known as Delightix Interactive 3D Worlds, provides opportunities for students to build 3D worlds, plan projects and monitor their progress. In terms of language learning, Mondly VR provides opportunities for students to experience conversation with people from different language backgrounds with virtual characters and receive spoken feedback. As I said, this is an emerging area of technology that will continue to evolve, but has huge potential for self-regulated learning if we use the correct pedagogical strategies to integrate them into our teaching. So some implementations for success. As with all, it's important to break down the teaching process into specific tasks and identify if technology can support this and if so, how. It's important to also think if technology is removing teacher or student agency or supporting it. Once we decide on the technology and evaluate it, it's important to develop a pilot lesson. Building in strategies that support goal setting and reflection through the use of technology is critical. It's important to explain to the students that you're trialling a new approach before piloting it and receive feedback throughout the pilot process.